Can you imagine living your whole life without the touch of another person, all because your life is tied to the survival of your entire race? Hello, I'm Allie, the Literary Sewist. Here in my crafting castle, I create projects inspired by the books I read. While I work on a very special veil, let's jump into the world of Jennifer L. Armentrout with From Blood and Ash, a paranormal fantasy with some unusual twists and some very typical tropes. Penelope Balfour has lived almost her entire life under the veil of a literal and emotional solitude. Until recently, when her brother was allowed to ascend, he was one of the only people allowed to even look at her. Their parents were killed in an attack when they were very young. Penelope, or Poppy as she prefers to be called, bears the scars of the attacks across her face. But that isn't why she isn't allowed to be seen. Poppy is the maiden. The maiden is the sacred gift given to the people from the gods. Her ascension is said to ensure that their race will continue to thrive in the world. The maiden must be kept pure and loyal. That is why it is limited to who is allowed to see her face. Along with her brother, she has a friend, Tawny, that was assigned to be her companion. Tawny keeps Poppy company, brings her books to read, shares meals with her, and on occasion even helps sneak her out of the room at night. The closer Poppy gets to her ascension, the more she desires to learn about the world and to experience the things that other normal teenagers experience, like dating. One night during an excursion into town without Tawny, Poppy finds herself in a gambling hall, disguised behind a mask of course, wondering what happens in the room behind the curtain. She takes a peek and realizes that one of her guards is there and she must sneak away. One of the ladies of the house assists her to finding a hidden place. In the not-so-empty room that Poppy ducks into, she discovers Hawk, who is one of the new soldiers that just happens to be devastatingly handsome. While he knows that Poppy isn't who he was expecting to show up, he still decides to try and get her to stay and delivers Poppy her very first kiss. When Hawk must step out of the room for some important work, Poppy sneaks away back to the castle. Internally, she is freaking out, but must maintain her maiden persona. Will the gods find her unworthy of ascension? Through a rather tragic turn of events, Hawk ends up being assigned as one of Poppy's personal guards. Her personal guards are also allowed to see her face within her private residence. Is he going to recognize her? Will he tell her secret? The romantic tension created between these two evolves, all while Poppy is trying to understand what exactly her ascension will be and how it works. Can she live up to the expectations of being the maiden when she knows there's more out there for her to experience? Like more kisses with Hawk? Okay, I know, it's definitely angsty and tropey, but if you really want a fun time, go out and grab a copy. The sequel picks up exactly where this one leaves off, and you're going to want to keep going because, cliffhangers. Okay, let's chat. Do you have any favorite fantasy tropes? Are there any that you'd like to see in a mashup sort of story? Let me know down in the comments. The entire time that I was reading this, I was focused on Poppy's veil. I became obsessed with trying to figure out exactly how it was worn, what it was made out of, so after a few months of thinking about it, this is what I came up with. In reality, they probably used leather and not elastic, but hey, this is what I have and what I wanted. Don't judge me too harshly. From Blood and Ash fell into the totes enjoyable category for me, so that's a 4-star book in my world. There are lots of kitschy things that were very typical of a YA fantasy story. However, the intimate scenes definitely bump it up to a new adult story. So I wouldn't suggest it for younger readers out there. And the names of the people and places felt a bit generic to me. But overall, this was an enjoyable story that was quick and easy to read. It may not be the greatest book ever written, but it sure was fun. And because it leaves you with that huge cliffhanger, just know that if you pick it up, you're going to be in it for the entire series. Okay, now that I'm done pretending to be the maiden, does this trope-filled paranormal romance sound like a fun read to you? If it does, give this video a thumbs up. And since you're still here, pop on over there for even more on my book-inspired sewing projects. And I'll see you next time.